Now, as I was saying, as I was showing you how to create the generator preset is essentially exactly the same as a blank motion project. And so if you were working with a blank motion project, I'm just going to select just a generic motion project. This is not a template. It's just a motion project like any other. And let's say you're working on your project and you're creating some amazing thing and you love what you're making and you want to export it and save it as a template to be used in Final Cut Pro. At any point you can do that. And the only difference is that in this case, if you have your project and you want to create it and make it into a template, instead of just choosing save, you have to specifically say publish template. That's the only difference. Because this was opened as a generic motion project, you say publish template, and this is only going to make a generator. Only generators can be created from generic motion projects. But here you see we've got our generic our motion project here. We can choose a specific category here or make our own new category. And again, I'm just going to MPV create. Let's call it the box. And here it is, right here, publish as Final Cut Pro generator. By checking this check mark, now it's going to be saved as a Final Cut generator. If you didn't save that, it would still become a preset, template that you could access in that template browser when you create a new motion project. But by checking this check mark, now we can be sure it's going to show up in Final Cut Pro. Let's go ahead and just hide this and show Final Cut Pro. Go to our MPV category here, and there it is, the box. And there's not much to it right now. It's just a generic box, but we can, of course, go ahead and make any changes we want. Go back to Motion. And we can animate this, or we can publish some of the parameters. So let's just go ahead and publish some of the parameters. Let's change the fill mode from a color to a gradient. Let's talk about how to publish gradients. You can't actually publish the gradient editor. So while this gradient editor does appear in Final Cut, you can't just publish it en masse. But what you can do is you can open it up and you can select the specific colors and say, let's publish the starting color and let's publish the ending color. Right, by selecting the tag and then choosing publish for the color, we can select we can basically customize those things and publish those colors. So if I save this now and I go back to Final Cut Pro, and here in Final Cut Pro there's the box. If we add the box and look at the parameters here, you see we can change the starting color and the ending color of that gradient. And so you get those options available to you, and that's just one way of publishing the controls to basically customize a gradient in Final Cut Pro. But the real point I'm making here is about just using a generic motion project as a tool to publish, to create templates for Final Cut Pro. And the idea is that any motion project, you could do anything you want. We could add text or video elements. You could do anything at all and make that into a generator that can be used in Final Cut Pro. And any parameters you want, you can modify and add them, publish them so that you can modify them in Final Cut Pro when you're working there. Oh, and just one tiny note in terms of confusion. It may, if I just set this to fit to window, you can see why the box seems so small in Final Cut. I was just zoomed in here in Motion, so you were seeing a full size, you were seeing a zoomed in image of the box, but actually the overall template, it was little like that. And so if we wanted to make the box bigger, I could just make it larger here and save that, go back to Final Cut Pro, and now our box template will be larger. And there it is. So that was just a little visual difference when you went back to Motion. I was just looking at a zoomed in view and I realized that might appear confusing. Just wanted to make sure that was clear.